Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and remodeling contractor Danny Lipford.
Now, welcome to the show this week. Have you ever thought about having granite countertops in your kitchen? Well, sounds expensive, and it can be, but we'll show you what's involved in selecting granite and some of the fabrication behind installing a natural stone product like that. Also, we'll talk with two different experts about selecting what is probably the most expensive and most used appliance in the kitchen, and that's the refrigerator. We'll give you some great tips on selecting the right refrigerator for your kitchen and give you some great tips on other design ideas for your kitchen remodeling as well. So stay with us. Welcome back. You know, it's great when you can have an exterior door leading from a kitchen area out to an outdoor covered area. It's perfect when you're preparing the meals and the drinks to serve them very easily. Now, the homeowners in this newly remodeled kitchen have chosen a natural stone countertop for their kitchen countertops. It's granite. And traditionally, granite has been at the upper end of the budget when you're buying countertops. But lately, many of the granite prices in many parts of the country have dropped significantly because of the competition with solid surface materials. Solid surface has really been popular over the last few years. So granite companies and natural stone companies have had to look for ways of actually controlling those costs through technology. Recently, we visited a manufacturing facility for natural stone that really uses a lot of this technology. You're looking at granite from all over the world. Italy, Brazil, even Saudi Arabia. And most of this natural stone material is shipped the way this is sitting, with large slabs 3/4 of an inch thick. Now, it's very heavy. This slab you see here weighs almost 500 pounds because each square foot weighs over 12 pounds. Now, because it is a hard, durable product, it's perfect for kitchen countertops. Now, it would be very hard to come out into a yard like this and make your selection for your countertops by thumbing through these heavy slabs. That's why they have showrooms. Well, Trey, how we doing?
How you doing, Danny?
Good, good. I'm with Trey Nakan, who's our granite supplier. And, you know, one of the things homeowners, I think, are a little surprised with is, first of all, that there's so many selections in granite, and also that there's lighter colors that are available.
That's correct. And most people are under the assumption that granite does only come in the darker colors, but as you can see, we do have a wide variety of our lighter color granites.
And what are some of the things that homeowners need to consider when they're selecting their granite?
Well, things that have to take in consideration is the color of their cabinet, of course. It might be wise, if you're going with a dark color cabinet, to go with a contrast with those lighter color granites. On the other hand, if you have the popular white painted cabinet, you might want to go with the darker color granites to pull in that contrast.
Okay, now I know that granite tends to be maybe the upper scale of the budget for selections for countertops. Why granite?
Well, you definitely have the durability factor. Other than diamond, granite is the hardest stone on earth. Therefore, it does have the durability. You can cut on it with your knife. It withstands over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so it doesn't burn. And actually, the polish is actually etched into the crystals with different grit diamond pads.
Well, I'm anxious to see the machinery you use to cut all of this.
Oh, great. Let me show you to the shop.
Okay, great.
Well, the first step in our fabrication process is our table saw, which we cut our granite stone. It's very similar to the table saw that you'd use at home to cut wood, except on a larger scale. Pretty much the only difference is our diamond tip blade. We use that, of course, to cut the the granite, diamond being harder than the granite itself to be able to cut it. The actual saw is run by computer. What we do is with the computer box here, we'll punch in the coordinates as you see, and it goes from a fixed point out, and it'll cut the dimension that we punch into the computer according to the measurements that we had taken in the houses for the countertop.
I see. Okay. Now, earlier we looked at a slab that was almost 500 pounds. How do you get it to the table?
Okay. Well, with an actual clip mechanism that we have outside, we'll actually roll the forklift up to the slab with that mechanism, clamp the slab, roll it in, and with manpower, actually set the slab down, put it on the table, and slide it on into position where we can go ahead and cut it.
Okay, and then once you have it smaller pieces, I see you use the carts just like that.
That's correct. Once we cut the pieces, we'll put them on a cart, and then we'll roll them to our next step in fabrication, which is our edge polisher.
Okay, tell me about the edge polishers. I know in the past when I've talked to stone fabricators, that was one of the most labor-intensive parts of it, but obviously the machines make that a lot easier.
That's correct. We have two machines here. Our first machine, a smaller machine, is actually a flat polish machine. You run the actual pieces through there and it puts just a little square edge on there and it comes out the end polished. And on the other side here we have our larger machine. This is a more detailed polisher here. It can do demi-bull nose, or even beveled edges. It has a series of polishing heads in there. It goes in one end, it actually grinds and polishes it out, coming out the other end completely finished.
Well, that's got to save a lot of time. What's the next step in the process?
Okay, the next step is actually laying out the kitchen as if it would be in an existing home. And there we actually butt up the edges, make sure everything is correct.
Now, Trey, I know it's very important when you're fabricating the granite to have the proper size cutouts for cooktops or sinks like we have here. Why didn't they complete cutting this one out?
Well, what we do is, with the correct dimensions, we'll go ahead and score the cutout size of the stove or sink in place, drill holes, and then what this does is it gives us stability for the shipment of the stone to the house. We'll install it and then go ahead and cut the rest of it and drop it out.
Oh, great. Well, you have it all figured out, and all this machinery, I'm sure, helps the whole process out quite a bit.
Right.
Thanks for talking to us today, and stay with us. We'll be right back.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
Here's a simple solution that my dad taught me when I was a kid, and I love it. I use it all the time. Whenever I need to shorten a carriage bolt or machine screw that's a little too long.
What Joe's done here, instead of putting this actually in a vise, he's taken a piece of scrap wood and attached it to the workbench using some wood screws. This gives him a good support mechanism for the cutting of the bolt. Then he drilled a hole all the way through the scrap piece of wood and attached the bolt through it. And he's holding it in place with two different nuts, one on each side.
Then all you need to do is, once the bolt is cut short, is loosen the nut and back it off the bolt end. As it comes off, it'll shear off any prickly burrs and recut any deformed threads. And then you can just put the nut right back on.
Now, this can be used for any type of threaded rod or machine screw or almost anything like that that you have around your house. Now, since we were on this kitchen remodeling project last, the hardwood flooring contractors completed all of the sanding of the floors, the staining, and 2 coats of sealer, and it really looks great in contrast to the white cabinets. Also, all of the granite countertops have been completed, and the plumber's been able to get in and install both of the kitchen sinks. Most of the appliances are in, including the refrigerator. And here to talk with us about refrigerators, Tom Hanneman, who handled the sales and the installation of this fairly impressive refrigerator here. Now, this is what we're getting a lot of requests for, the nice built-in look and kind of a commercial look. Why is that so popular?
Well, Danny, it becomes like a piece of furniture. It's part of the house. It's built in. Typical refrigerators stick out about 32 inches. This one's 24 inches deep, just like the base cabinet.
I see.
So,
okay. What about some of the features this particular one has?
well, this one has some exceptional features. It has a control board. It has temperature settings, not like 1 through 10. You can actually set the temperature from -5 to +5 in the freezer, and the refrigerator will go from 34 degrees to 46.
Okay, good. A lot of flexibility there. And also notice some real deep shelving here on the door.
Deep shelving, you can put gallon milk storage in the door. The crispers are much wider and deeper for lettuce and what have you. They've made some great improvements.
Okay. Well, now the finish on this is stainless steel, which originally was very commercial used more than anything else, but we're seeing it more and more in residential. But also on this, I understand you can put the wood panels to really customize it.
Well, this particular customer chose stainless because the other appliances in the kitchen are stainless, but yes, you can. You can put raised panels, and anything that's a 1/4 inch thick will fit in the groove of the refrigerator.
Okay. Well, I know this is more on the upper scale in terms of refrigerators. What is the approximate cost of a unit like this?
This unit was around $4,500,
Okay.
but built-in refrigerators can range from $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay, great. Well, recently at a kitchen and bath show, we went in on a search to try to find a less expensive alternative to still obtain this built-in look.
But when people are thinking about remodeling a kitchen or just upgrading what they have without a big remodel, the big things are how much room you have in the configuration and how much money you have to spend. Now what we're doing, which really ought to change the way people think about it, is providing a lot more options and flexibility so you can really fit a great look even if you don't have a lot of money. It used to be that you had to do built-in appliances, which are fairly expensive in the real high end, to get a built-in look and to get to the style appearance of a high-end home. What we've created is a series of custom style appliances, particularly in refrigerators, where by making them a little bit less deep and re-engineering the inside, you get all the space, but you can fit it in a smaller and a flush footprint. So this looks like a built-in refrigerator, but it actually isn't. So you save a significant amount of money versus if you would have bought a completely built-in system. So you can really fit the look you want with the budget that you have, and there's a lot more flexibility for consumers.
Well, Tom, I know you handle the type of refrigerator that Jeff was talking about. What would we be looking at in terms of cost for that unit?
That unit usually runs around $1,800 to $2,000, Danny. There's such a large demand for built-in refrigerators. All the major manufacturers are now producing them. And, you know, typically they're going to look like a built-in refrigerator. There's a few differences. On the $4,000 units, as you can see, this particular unit is about 42 inches wide. They come 48 inches wide, 36 inches wide. There's a lot of different variances you can do with the $4,000 unit.
So you have the ability really to get a lot larger unit then.
Exactly. The cubic footages on these particular units go from 25 to 30 cubic foot. On the basic $2,000 unit is going to be around 24 cubic feet.
Okay, all right. And I guess one of the other major differences is the location of the compressor, or in this case, compressors, up on the upper part of it.
Typical refrigerators in the $2,000 range and below, you'll see the grill down at the bottom of the unit. That's where the compressor's located, and that's where it breathes. These $4,000 units, they put the compressors up top. This particular unit has two compressors, and they work independently from the refrigerator freezer. And, you know, all the heat is generated from the compressors, and that's why they put them up top, a little bit more energy efficient.
I see. Okay. Well, you know, another way, a more reasonable way of getting the same look in a built-in fashion is to use your existing refrigerator or buy a more modest refrigerator in cost and have your cabinet man build a case around it to enclose it. It'll still give you the look without spending quite as much money. Tom, thanks a lot for talking with us about this and giving us some tips about refrigerators, and maybe that'll help you when you're selecting your next refrigerator. Stay with us.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring.
A comment I hear quite a bit from homeowners is how they're displeased with the performance of their exterior doors.
Well, Danny, this is the next generation in addressing those problems. This is a carbon fiber door. It's from Pease. And this carbon fiber is the same material that's been used in jet fighters and cars. It's very stable, it's lightweight, it's very strong. This holds up extremely well in serious weather, in the kind of degradation that sunshine can give, and even around salt water.
Now, what about the overall strength of the door unit itself?
Well, it's a sandwich, Danny, and it's actually quite strong. It uses polystyrene, so it's insulated throughout, but there's wood all around the perimeter on the stiles and rails. There's even here a 12-inch wood block that allows you to put almost any kind of lock set inside the door.
I see. Now, what about the window here itself? I assume that's some type of safety glass?
It is. This is a Pease safety glass that is tremendous. It is just about impenetrable, even with a sledgehammer. And of course, it comes in any number of styles that can be incorporated in the door.
Now, this model that we're looking at has a stained finish on it. Is it available in a stained finish?
Actually, it comes in a couple of embossed wood grains, and then you can add a stain to it, or you can paint it with latex acrylic paint, either one.
Okay. What about cost?
Cost $500 with a window like this in it, and it's a real alternative for beating the weather on a front door.
Well, welcome to the finished kitchen. Finished as far as construction work, but the homeowners still have a little decorating they're in the process of doing with hanging pictures and taking care of some of the window treatments on several of the windows here. Now, we started with a fairly good-sized room, but we enlarged it by 12 feet to create an overall room that's 13 feet wide and 28 foot long that takes care of a nice-sized kitchen and a very nice-sized eating area as well. Now, after all of the drywall was installed, we came in with all of the cabinets. It took several days for the cabinets to be installed because there's a lot of cabinets in this particular kitchen. After that, all of the hardwood floors were sanded and refinished and really turned out great. Then we were ready for our granite fabricators to come in and start the measuring and then the fabrication process that we showed you earlier in the show. Now, one of the processes there in fabrication involved the edge treatment and the edge polishing. You can see the homeowners here chose a very simple radius edge, which looks good. The simplicity of it really is nice, and the contrast between the dark granite and the white cabinets also is a real nice look in the overall kitchen. Now, after the countertops were installed, the plumber made it by with all of the sinks and the dishwasher, and then we installed all of the appliances. Now, every time we feature a kitchen remodeling project on Today's Homeowner, we get a lot of response from viewers about many of the amenities and features that we may have in a particular kitchen. Let me show you just a few of the features we have in this particular one. We talked about the built-in refrigerator and what a nice look that is. A refrigerator is such a large appliance, it's kind of nice to build it in, make it a little more subtle in the overall look of the kitchen. But one of the things that's very important in designing your kitchen is to utilize every square inch you have, all of the available space you can possibly muster up. A good way of doing that is in a situation where you have a fixed area like we have here. Instead of putting a blank area over a very narrow space like this, turn it into what we've done here, a little cookie sheet or serving platter area. It's perfect for storing away those type of items. Now, another way to fully utilize all the space you have available is think about in front of your sink, even your existing sink maybe in your kitchen now. You may want to add a little tilt-out tray like this with a couple hinges, gives you a little bit of space for those scouring pads and brushes that you have around the sink so much. You know, you're hearing the word recycle quite a bit. Look at the little recycle bin that's very easy to add to an existing kitchen, or if you think about it in time, add to your newly remodeled kitchen. You have just a nice deep drawer with a couple standard garbage cans in here. It's perfect for recycling aluminum, paper, or anything you have. And the construction of it's basically just a deep drawer with some nice heavy-duty drawer guides that allow it to just extend out, slide right back under the counter. Now, to fully access all the space you have available, you need to think about the corner section that you may have in your kitchen. And the best way to access that is the old traditional Lazy Susan. This one's a molded plastic one that has adjustable shelving so that it can accommodate almost any kind of pots and pans or storage that you have. Also, when you have a range top like this without the oven under it, you can utilize this for storage with little roll-out trays like this for the things you'll use the most, your pots and pans and frying pans. Now stay with us. When we come back, we'll show you more of this particular kitchen.
Now, let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Jennifer Brennan. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn, guaranteed.
This is just the right diameter, Danny.
Okay.
What often happens is when people plant trees and shrubs, they fail to dig the proper size hole.
And what are some guidelines that the viewers need to know about planting a tree like this?
Danny, that's a great question. You want to dig the hole twice the diameter of the plant, the root ball, and only as deep as the root ball.
Okay, so this is deep enough?
This is just right.
That's great.
Now, when you pull the plant out of the container, notice the roots and see how these roots are nice and healthy and green and white. You don't want to have them growing around in circles. If they are, you want to take a trowel or a knife and you want to tickle the roots. And you slice into the side on all four sides of the plant, and that encourages those roots to grow out into the soil. Now, filling the soil in around the root ball, you want to firm it in gently with your hand and fill it until it's up to the same level as the plant was growing. Now, after you fill that in, water it thoroughly and mulch it, because when you mulch, you increase rooting by 90% because you make the soil temperature more uniform and the soil moisture more uniform.
Well, I hope you agree with us that we ended up with a very attractive kitchen and a very functional one as well, because the homeowner here really did their homework. They decided what type of countertop they wanted after exploring all the countertops that were available. They decided on the type of appliances and the finish they wanted, because they looked at a lot of appliances and the different features that are available out there. And if you do your homework, whether you're doing a small kitchen remodeling or a large upper scale kitchen like this, you'll end up with the satisfaction level that you deserve when you really put that much work into it.